Welcome to another edition of AFL Today, Week 6 in review. And joining us once again, legendary AFL analyst Tony Cozzolino. Tony, another exciting week in the AFL.
Good to be back for Week 6, and we've still got through 6 weeks, we've still got one perfect team.
Absolutely. Dallas Desperados pull another comeback victory to stay unbeaten. Of course, other surprises in the league. Tampa now finally gets that elusive one victory they've been looking for the past month and a couple weeks here, and Tim Markham's happy about that, and same with the home crowd. And also, big surprise, Chad Salisbury returns to Grand Rapids and puts up a monster game, and Grand Rapids is glad to have him back. All right, let's get into it, folks. Game number 1 on the docket, Columbus Destroyers and the improbable comeback victory at Dallas. Dallas wins it 53-51, and they had a huge lead. Destroyers had it locked down, and again, I don't know what went wrong, but Nash and Pettis come back to rally from 30 points, and Dallas has got to be 2 in a row now. Big games back-to-back like that. And Coach K has got to be, I don't know what you do when you let a lead like that go to waste against a Dallas team. They had him down, could not put him out. And again, Coach K is frustrated here in Columbus. T-Coz.
Dallas winning another game with a game plagued by turnovers on their end and still coming away with the victory. And this time, yeah, like you said, they had to overcome a 37-14 halftime lead. And Pettis looked great out there, catching 4 of the 7 touchdowns. But you look at it, Dallas can make this many mistakes and still win. That's a scary thought, because when they're running on all cylinders, I don't think anyone can beat them. And this is just another great win where they played pretty lethargic.
I'm with you on that one. Again, Dallas proving that the Giant can stumble and still become victorious. Of course, the home crowd helped a little bit, but you got to be excited if you're Dallas. This is just another character-building win. And again, everyone's excited about, hey, you know, talking already about going undefeated, but I think Dallas realizes it's all about the championship game, not necessarily this undefeated season. All right, let's move on. Game number 2. Utah takes a trip to Austin, and they lose. That's right. Everybody counted Austin out, and they pull it off 65-64. Adrian McPherson was solid the whole game through. Of course, he had that challenge last week where he fumbled the game-winning drive there. This time did not happen. Utah, I think, again, just too much Austin D, as there was a big sack for a fumble, and that kind of turned the game in the late in the third quarter, and Jermaine just couldn't recover. And again, typically it's Danny White that wins these kind of shootout games, but Austin came on top on this one, T-Coz.
Here for Austin, McPherson looked really well. He not only passed the ball well with the 6 touchdowns, but he had 51 yards on the ground and ran in a couple scores. But the key here was, of course, the last drive. This was one of those arena football games. Last person with the ball was going to win the game. Austin had it. They had to get it in there, and they only left 8 seconds on the clock. McPherson found Anthony Hines, and it's a big win for Austin, especially at home. Now Utah, after the defeat, has got to get ready to go back home for a really big matchup that I'm sure we'll be talking about here later on in the show.
All right, T-Coz, let's get it going here. Moving on down the road. Big win here. The Colorado Crush take a trip to the San Jose SABERCATS, and the SABERCATS demolish them 72-44. And Dutton is benched, ladies and gentlemen. Had an off week last week, and again followed up this week. And this looks like the John Dutton from the first year of the Crush, not the championship year, just a few years ago. Grebe again, ageless, on fire. This guy does it year after year after year. Rowan Nelson, these guys are looking fabulous, and San Jose SABERCATS are running on all 12 cylinder, folks.
Yeah, Mark Grebe, 33 of 40, 352 yards, 7 TDs. Second week in a row, he's been razor sharp, and this is a great thing. He's not only using Ben Nelson, of course, their top guy right now, but Rodney Wright is right there, and James Rowe as well. So now he's looking like he's using all 3 weapons, a very balanced attack offensively. You look at Colorado, this is another just bad loss for them. Damian Harrell, they're not using him very well. He only had 26 yards receiving. You know, teams are keying up on him defensively, and they really don't have anybody else to surround him. I think you look at it, Colorado's definitely a victim here of the salary cap. They lost a couple guys in the offseason, and right now they're in a situation where they don't even have room to pick up guys. So Colorado, a team in turmoil.
Now it's again, Elway's turn to figure out what he's going to do here. We saw last couple years it's been Bon Jovi on the short end with the Philadelphia Soul, and now it looks like the championship woes have made their way to Colorado. And yeah, Dutton is just not looking sharp. He again doesn't have his go-to guy Harrell is not there because obviously the defense are keying on him, and they're showing what they lack and what Georgia has, which we'll talk about, and some of these other teams is other solid receivers to pick up the slack. So Colorado is going to need some great coaching to get them through, and we'll see what happens. All right, moving on. Next game on the docket: Arizona Rattlers take a trip to the Los Angeles Avengers. I was there, front row, hanging out, enjoying the game as a fan in disguise, had my jersey on, and what a great game it was. Typical Arizona Avenger match, and as you know, folks, you Avenger fans know that we have been plagued by Hunky Cooper, of course, and that tradition is carried on after Hunky left, where Arizona seems to have our number in Los Angeles, but not this time. Again, looked like a great game, back and forth, heavyweight match, and then all of a sudden LA just has this huge fourth quarter, and really all the bad bounces that they got in Chicago kind of came back and turned into good bounces at Los Angeles, because we just had a great fourth quarter. Couple great bounces, just pulled away at the end, and now Arizona is a team in turmoil here. 1-5, again, things not going too well for them, and again, it just looks great for the Avengers to welcome home. Again, they go on another 2-game road trip here. I got San Jose and Utah coming up, but again, Avengers definitely in the driver's seat, recovering from that horrible loss in Chicago, two guys.
Yeah, and Arizona, a team that turned it over a lot in last week's loss against Kansas City, and now this week another 5 turnovers, and that's just the recipe for a disaster, as we've talked about time and time again. You're not going to win with that many turnovers, and a lot of their turnovers happened at the worst possible time, down the stretch in the second half, and a total fourth quarter breakdown. But you've got to give credit to the Avengers defense. They looked like they were bringing the pain every play, very intense performance, and now they're getting ready. Of course, Sonny Cumbie as well offensively, no mistakes, no interceptions, but now the Avengers have set themselves up to take an early lead in the division. Next week they head to Utah in a first-place game, since the Austin Wranglers helped the team out a little bit that night as well by beating Utah.
Yeah, absolutely, T-Cos. And another key thing we mentioned now, Arizona, again, really missing Randy Gatewood. He was not suited up for that game, and I think ultimately Arizona is really missing Danny White. All right, next game up, the New York Dragons take a trip to Grand Rapids, and lo and behold, they were not ready for Chad Salisbury as he makes his return, and he looks sharper than ever, folks. That 4-week layoff seemed to do him really well as Grand Rapids get back into the win column, which they Dragons 53, Rampage 56. Rohan Davey looks solid. Okay, but not the rest of the team. It seems the Dragons are kind of plagued by that opening loss there on ESPN the first week, where they only scored 7 points. And I thought they recovered last week, but this week the Rampage got them down. And Salisbury, again, 8 TDs. This guy looked fabulous. And now I'm starting to realize maybe a little bit why the Rampage let one of their other quarterbacks go, but I think Bishop is now going to be, they've been marketing him pretty well, but I think Bishop is definitely going to take his place now as the solid secondary quarterback, because again, Salisbury is looking fantastic. Again, big win for Rampage, 66-53.
And this was a game that the Rampage really their defense didn't play that well. Their defense gave up a lot of yards and points, but they did come up with one big turnover. But the Rampage, this was a game where they really needed their offense to pretty much score on every drive, and that's exactly what happened. So the Rampage, good to get back in the offensive swing of things behind Sean Salisbury, and not only did he throw 8 touchdowns, he spread the ball out really well amongst his receivers with Marshall and Riley. So this is a real positive sign for the Rampage, and I think this is definitely a win that they can